On today's show, the Milwaukee Bucks have won 14 games in a row. How are they maintaining success despite having so many guys in and out of the rotation, including Giannis Antetokounmpo? Why is Khris Middleton still coming off the bench? And should Bucks fans be concerned about his health and status moving forward? Plus, Jae Crowder finally makes his Bucks debut. All of that and more coming up right here at Locked On NBA.
You are Locked On NBA, your daily NBA podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up and welcome to another edition of Locked On NBA, the biggest stories with the local experts. I'm your host, Jackson Gatlin, also host of Locked On Rockets right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Today's episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. Tonight, how about taking Luka Doncic to score more than 26.5 points? What about Giannis Antetokounmpo to have more than 9.5 rebounds? How about Devin Booker to have less than 6.5 assists? Or maybe we even go with Ja Morant to have less than 2.5 three-pointers made. So what is PrizePicks? It's daily fantasy sports, but how does it work? Basically, you pick 2 to 6 players, and if they score more or less than their PrizePicks projection, you can win up to 25 times back on your money on any entry that you submit. There's no competing against other people. It's just you versus the projections available. PrizePicks offers projections on any sport that you watch. That's NBA, of course, NFL, MLB, NHL, PGA. They've got you covered for everything. Entries can be made in 60 seconds or less. It's that easy. They're safe. They offer incredibly fast withdrawals, currently operational in over 30 states and Canada. So download the PrizePicks app or go to prizepicks.com to sign up and play daily fantasy sports. First-time users can receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with promo code LOCKEDON. That means if you deposit $100, PrizePicks will give you $100. If you deposit $50, PrizePicks will give you $50. Don't forget to enter promo code LOCKED ON at sign up for an instant deposit match up to $100. Joining us now is the host of Locked On Bucks, Kane Pitman, who you can find wherever you listen to your podcasts and on YouTube. Just search Locked On Bucks. And Kane, the Bucks have the longest win streak in the NBA this season. It doesn't look like it's going anywhere anytime soon. They haven't lost in quite some time now. 14 wins in a row. The most recent one coming against the Phoenix Suns, a really exciting game down to the wire. I mean, this was a game that they managed to win despite no Giannis. I mean, just walk us through how this Bucks team has been able to keep racking up the wins, keep this win streak alive, despite some of the issues that they're dealing with, right? That, not having Giannis for some of these games, him missing some time due to injuries, Khris Middleton still coming off the bench, guys in and out of the lineups. Like, how are the Bucks able to maintain this level of dominance over this win streak?
It hasn't been perfect in terms of the health stuff, but it's certainly been better than what it was at the start of the season. So you're right. They've had Giannis miss some games. Khris Middleton's had a couple of nights out. Wesley Matthews has missed games. Pat Connaughton has missed games. Bobby Portis was out for the first 10 games of that winning streak. So they've had really important players miss time. But overall, the collection of players feels a little bit more complete than it had been through the start of the season. This is a team that has really just been decimated by health stuff from the start of the season, including Khris Middleton, who we know has missed over 40 games this year. But it's no surprise that when this winning streak started, that was the first game that Khris Middleton came back. So he's come back for his second stint in those 14 games. He's played 12 of those games, but the Bucks haven't lost since. The offense just looks like it's ticking along certainly a little more efficiently than it was at the start of the season. So you still would love to see the health get a little bit better, but it's been a relief, I think, for Bucks fans to at least see some familiar names on the floor.
What's the latest with Giannis and this newest injury, the knee issue? Is it something severe? Is it something that's going to keep him out a long time? What's the latest on that?
No, it does seem like he'll be back pretty soon. And if people were watching this game today, you would have seen Giannis smiling and dancing and jumping around on the bench for the entire 4 quarters. So he didn't seem too bothered about this, but he's always banged up. He's always carrying something. He's missed over 10 games this year with the left knee soreness. Then he had the wrist stuff over the All-Star break. And now he had this right knee, what they called was actually a quad contusion, so a bit of a knee knock with an opponent. So more than anything, it would be nice for him to just have a couple of nights off, but stopping Giannis and actually telling him that you cannot play is easier said than done. So I would suspect he's not going to miss too long.
And walk us through this approach with Khris Middleton, right? He's back, but he's coming off the bench. What's the timeline there on, expectation for him to kind of ramp up and get back into more of the role that he's accustomed to having with this Bucks team?
This is a big watch, and this has been a concern still for Bucks fans leading into the All-Star break. He missed the last game they played before the break against the Chicago Bulls. And then coming out of the break, he said, Yeah, I just didn't think on that night I was willing to go out there, and I didn't think I could compete at my best, and I thought it would hurt the team. And you sit back and you say, man, this is concerning. We are getting really close to the playoffs. This knee soreness, he just can't seem to shake. He did tell media reporters, local media reporters, that he hopes the training wheels are off soon. But the interesting thing is that he's looked great when he's out there. His per-minute scoring stuff has been off the charts from an efficiency standpoint. Three-point shot, not quite there yet, but he has looked great. But they are taking a very, very slow approach with him. He's been around the 20 minutes, 25 minutes. I would say a good sign from this Phoenix game, though, was that he was in the closing lineup, and he hasn't been doing that. There has been close games that the Bucks have been in, and Budenholzer will just take him to the bench and say, well, this is the minutes limit. You are not closing the game, even though it's close. Tonight, we saw that against the Suns, which I think is the next step.
Jae Crowder and Myers Leonard both made their Bucks debuts this past week. How are those guys kind of settling in over their first couple games, and what do you see as kind of maybe their roles moving forward?
Yeah, Myers Leonard, very limited. And when the Bucks are healthy, you're going to have Brook Lopez, Giannis, Bobby Portis, and these small lineups they go to. So, yeah, not a lot to see there. It's a 10-day contract. We'll see whether he sticks on beyond. But I will say he's been decent in the minutes that he's played, knocked down a couple of threes. Jae Crowder is the big one, and we saw it closing this game today against the Phoenix Suns. He is a guy that they're happy to defend Devin Booker. He may have spent some time on Kevin Durant, who, by the way, didn't play in this game either. But they like the fact that they can go to switchable lineups, go small with Giannis at the 5 with Crowder out there. And also, he's not afraid to take shots. Now, he can be a little bit streaky, but we saw in this game against Phoenix 2 late threes in the fourth quarter from the corner in front of the Bucks bench. So they like defensively what he can bring to this team and a little bit of toughness, and he's made a really great start, it must be said.
Is it nice to just kind of see Jae Crowder out there after all the rumors and speculation about how the Bucks were trying to acquire Crowder? the feels like the entire season, and then he finally makes his debut. It just feels like this long-awaited thing that finally happened.
We have done approximately 43 Jae Crowder podcasts this season, I think, because every single week there was another report saying that the Bucks were going to trade him. I will say this, though. I think the Bucks did some superb business getting this deal done and keeping Grayson Allen. If you go back to the start of the season, the trade that was reported and rumored was that Grayson Allen would leave because of the salary matching stuff there. I still think Grayson Allen's an important player for this team. He played 27 minutes in this game against the Phoenix Suns today. So being able to bring in Jae Crowder, a guy that you know can play in the postseason, and keep an important shooter like Allen, I think it was some really nice business.
Last guy here that I'm curious to get your thoughts about, Kane, is MarJon Beauchamp was a guy that, earlier this season kind of got maybe thrust into the rotation a little bit with some of the injuries to certain guys, and looked like he was going to be kind of a rotational piece for this Bucks team. Impressed Budenholzer, was looked good on the floor, and then seemingly over this last month or so, I mean, he's been racking up DNPs, sporadic minutes here and there. Kind of what's going on there? What happened to where he kind of fell out of grace in the rotation, I guess?
Yeah, the Bucks got a bit healthy, and they're a really good team. And it's just going to be hard for a rookie to get out there and play minutes. And if you think about the guys that are playing in his position, you have Khris Middleton, Jrue Holiday obviously plays up in those positions. You got Pat Connaughton, Wesley Matthews, Jae Crowder, Joe Ingles, keep going down the list. So they just have so many guys that play those positions, Grayson Allen as well. So it's just tough. It's hard to see how he would get minutes. And he's had some good moments, but he's also had some rookie moments. Defensively, the physicality stuff is still a little bit of a challenge for him, navigating screens and those types of things. So they really like him. He's flashed some stuff, but there is just not too often that you see rookies come in and play real minutes on teams as good as the Bucks.
I guess it's kind of a silver lining that he got a little bit of that opportunity earlier in the season to kind of flash some of that potential, right? And now you're like, okay, well, we know something's there, but that makes perfect sense. I do want to actually, Jrue Holiday, a name that we didn't get a chance to talk about though, but how important has Jrue just been over this, over this stretch of time? He's been kind of that really consistent force, right? With different guys missing time. Drew's missed a little bit of time here and there, but he's been kind of that one consistent force, I feel like, this season for the Bucks.
Yeah, he's been on a tear since the start of the new year, which I think was a major contributor to why he made the All-Star game. Because through January and through the early part of February, efficiency-wise, he's been huge. He's averaging 21 points, 5 rebounds, 7 assists on 48, 40, 80 shooting. So his three-point shot has been really hot. We've seen him make big shot after big shot, not only in today's game, but in multiple close games over the last couple of months. And then you know what he does defensively. He came up with the big defensive stop on Devin Booker again, which is making everyone think about the 2021 NBA Finals. So I know he doesn't get a lot of news about him, and there were some people that were kind of confused as to why he would be an all-star, but he has been an absolute monster this year for this team.
He's an all-star caliber player, that is for certain. What happens with this Bucks win streak? How much longer can they keep the win streak churning out the W's? Giannis's health, Khris Middleton health, how are those guys going to continue to ramp up and round out the end of the season into the postseason? Of course, Silver's covered for all of that and more over at Locked On Bucks. Kane, I appreciate you stopping by Locked On NBA with me.
Anytime.